In addition to the regular math operators, that is addition, subtraction, multiplication, and division, Python has some special operators which can be very useful. In our example here on the screen, you'll see that I have set slices to be 8, which is your standard pie or quiche, for example, and then you have 3 people. So the question we might want to ask is, well, how many slices is each person getting? On line 4, you see that we can do the division by dividing slices by people, and this is your standard division problem. And as we talked about in another video, the slash operation or division operation returns a float even if both numbers involved in the operation are integers. In line 5, though, you'll notice that instead of 1 slash, I'm using 2 slashes. There's a special operator in Python called integer division. And in this situation, we take slices and we divide it by people, and the result will return an integer, not a float. Now, if you remember, a float contains a decimal, but integers are whole numbers. Line 6 will simply skip a line. Line 7 will actually allow us to see what is being printed. So I'm going to comment out these lines here so we can just see what the result is. And I'm going to go ahead and run this. You'll see at the bottom of the screen the result is 2.66666, etc., along with a 2. Now what that indicates is that the line 4 that did the division returns a float, and that's why you see all of the decimals. But line 5 returned a whole number, and that's why you only see the number 2. Now that we know what those values are, let's go ahead and actually print out the result of that calculation. So I'm going to uncomment these lines. Okay. And let's print it out so it's in a nice format. You'll notice that I'm using the F-string approach, which I describe in another video. If I go ahead and run this, you'll notice that this is nicely formatted, and it is in the format you would expect. Each person will get 2.67 slices, or basically 2 2/3. But you'll notice that the line 9, when it printed, it says each person will get 2 whole slices, which is of course correct. You'll also notice that when I use integer division, it does not round up. 2.67 does not get rounded up to 3, but instead you just lose the decimal place, and the result is 2. Modulus division is another operation that's commonly used in programming languages. Modulus returns the remainder of a division, and the modulus operator is the percentage symbol. So here's an example. If we took, for example, 24, and we divide it by, let's say, 6, the result goes in 4 times, we multiply it out, and the result is 0. So if you had a Python expression that was 24 mod 6, or modulus 6, x would get the value of 0. The reason is 24 divided by 6 is an even operation. That is, there is no remainder as a result of the division. So therefore, 24 mod 6 is 0. In contrast, we could do this. We could say 25 divided by 6. Well, 6 goes into 25 4 times. 4 times 6, of course, is 24. The result is 1. So if we had x equals 25 mod 6, x would get a value of 1. Now this seems kind of strange, and probably you might wonder, why in the world would I ever want to do this? And it's a legitimate question, because by itself it doesn't seem like it would be very valuable. But as it turns out, modulus can be extremely useful. So let's take a specific example. Let me pick a number. Let's say 49. If we took 49 and we divide it by 2, okay, 2 goes into 49 2 times, 4, and then bring down the 9, that goes in there 4, 8, and the result is a 1. So there is a 1 remainder. So if we said 49 mod 2, the result, x would get a value of 1. Now why is this useful? Well, as it turns out, any odd number will always result, if you mod it by 2, if you take an odd number and use modulus 2, the result will always be a 1. If you have an even number, like let's say 48, if you take 48 modulus 2, the result would always be a 0. So it's fairly easy, if you use modulus 2, it's fairly easy to determine whether a number is odd or even. By the way, this works for any number or any, if you want to check if anything is divisible by anything. So for example, you could do this. Let's use our 49 again. And if we want to check whether 49 is evenly divisible by 7, it is of course 7, 49, and that is 0. So if you have x equals 49 modulus 7, if x gets a value of 0, that means this number here is equally divisible by 7. Now again, this may not seem extremely useful, but I will provide you a number of situations this semester where modulus becomes very, very helpful in solving certain types of problems.